This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, well, good morning. Thank you for being here. This is our third webinar in 2019 for the 30 for 30 initiative, and I'm happy that you're here.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right. Well, I was hoping others would be here during this section, but why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Dan, and then we will do the same.
Good morning. I'm Dan Salvatore. I work for the Toro Company, and I work for a division of Toro called Unique Lighting. So I'm on the landscape lighting side, but I've been in the industry since 1994. I spent about 14 years with Rainbird, and I've been with the Toro Company for about 8. And let's see, what else? Yeah, I know. I became part of 30 for 30. I was at the IAA show this year, and I kind of wanted to just help out Ed Santalone because I've known him for a long time, and I was excited that he was the new president. And I have made this commitment, and I just, like I say, unfortunately, I just haven't been able to be able, with the timing that you guys have had these trainings, I haven't been, it just hasn't really worked out. I'm on West Coast time, so it just hasn't really worked out that well for me, but I'm excited to hear everything that you guys have to talk about and learn some more about this program. So I have made some phone calls and talked to some of the people on the original list that you sent me, but I really kind of need to work it into my weekly schedule to, set aside a couple hours to, reach out to these people. So.
Okay, very good. Deborah, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Deborah Hamlin. I'm the CEO of the Irrigation Association, just joining in to give a little update on stuff going on within the IA after Janie gets through her stuff. So thanks for being with us.
And I'm Janie Hakim. I'm the membership manager, and I have been with the IA for over 5 years now. And I really want to make this program a success and something that is exciting for all, and get us to, have new members join and have others stay with us.
Good.
All right. So I was actually going to talk about the lapsed member roster. I believe you have the other two rosters already, the prospects and the current members. But the lapsed members, we just went through this period, the ones that did not renew for 2019. The IA staff did a final push a couple of weeks ago. About 6 of us took a list of members that didn't renew, and we gave them a call, and we had about 7 renewals from those calls, and then plus 7 others that came in during that same period, because of other reasons, like they may have wanted to get certified, or they were sorry, I lost my train of thought, or they were applying to exhibit at the show. But that's really great. So currently we have about 188 companies that did not renew. There are 27 in ag and 147 turf and 4 golf. So in the next week or so, I'm going to be compiling those. There were a large group of companies that actually told us that they would not be renewing. So I will be pulling those off the list so that you all, it's not as frustrating for you all. Hopefully you'll get to reach some people and be able to speak with them and have good conversations. And concurrently, we'll also be sending out a survey to the group that did not renew to find out more reasons about why they didn't do so.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. In speaking about the surveys, we're going to go through the results of the surveys that the membership department has sent out in this previous year. The 2018 lapsed member survey is a survey that was sent to those that did not renew for 2018. And then we also have a new member survey, which is a survey that goes out to new members sent monthly to the previous month's new members. Okay, so we'll start with the lapsed member survey. It was sent to 225 organizations and individuals. It comprised of 8 questions. 28 responses were received, the majority from contractors. And it doesn't surprise me of the low number that was received, actually, because those are the ones, when someone's wanting to join, they're excited. When they're leaving, they don't have as much to say. But most of the questions were multiple choice, and there were a few write-in options. The survey topics included, basically we asked them what their member type was, what their focus is, other association memberships that they hold, the reasons their memberships lapsed, and the benefits used while they were a member. So we had a response rate of about 12%, 71% was turf and landscape, and 46% of them were contractors. Not having time to fully utilize IA benefits was the #1 reason identified for the entire group for letting their membership lapse. We also looked at the individual answers by contractors, manufacturers, and consultants, since they were the top 3. And contractors and manufacturers said that we don't provide sufficient benefits, and they don't have time to utilize the benefits. Whereas consultants and university and government said that it was because of economics, and there was also no time to utilize. However, what was interesting is there was there's a high correlation between those that did not use benefits and those that lapsed. So, which makes perfect sense. If they're not using what we're providing for them, there's no reason for them to stay. So that's one of our goals, is to try and get them to get more involved. All right. Now, the new member survey was sent to 193 new members. It's comprised of 3 questions, takes less than a minute to complete, and we had 88 responses received between March of 2018 and February of 2019. And again, most of the responses were from contractors. The questions included what their member type was, what their focus is, and the reasons they're joining the IA. We're looking to make sure that we're providing them what they're thinking, if we can, what they think they're getting, or explain to them what we're all about, so that they can be happy with their membership, because there's usually a high percentage of new members that don't renew, and we want to do what we can to keep them. It's easier to keep them than to get them. So the top reasons for the group overall, there was a tie between certification and professional development, and the irrigation show. I also want to say that we had a 45.6 response rate for this survey, 60% of whom were contractors, and 83% were turf and landscape focused. So when we broke it down and looked at the manufacturers by themselves, their top reasons for joining was the irrigation show and networking. In fact, we found that 100% of manufacturers join regardless of their focus because of the show. That's their number one reason. We also looked at contractors since they were the largest amount of responses. And we found that the top reasons for joining were certification and professional development. The results we received weren't a surprise, but rather confirmed what we already knew, which was a good thing. This smaller survey is it's a small subset of our entire membership, but the results were the same when we look at it for our entire membership base. And we're going to continue to send this survey on a monthly basis so that we're able to compare the results from year to year and see if things are changing or if there's, if we're along the right path. So in the beginning of September in 2018, the board of directors voted to offer a membership discount to new organization members in order to try and stimulate our numbers. I'm not sure if you were aware, but membership numbers had been decreasing over the last few years for reasons such as mergers or economics. And we wanted to make a good attempt to get new members into the organization. And the promotion offers a 30% discount to new organization members. The definition of a new member is an organization that has not held IA membership in the previous 5 years. So that could be an organization that has not held membership at all, or they have not been a member they have been a member but expired more than 5 years ago. So when we compared, these next few slides are going to have a comparison for the time frame of September 18th through March of 2019. This first slide shows new regular and associate member comparisons with and without the discount. And as you can see, for the majority of months, we have more new members during the promotion than we did in the previous year.
Excuse me, is the 30% discount just for the first year only and then it goes to the regular, or is it 30% like in perpetuity?
It's 30% the first year, and it's going to be 15% the second year.
Okay, thanks.
So this next comparison is about regular members. And at first, I want to make sure I define what regular members are. Those are the membership categories that are in the irrigation industry. So those are manufacturers, dealer distributors, manufacturers representatives, contractors, consultants, and affiliate organizations. So thankfully, the majority of the new joins that we have received during the promotion have been from the regular categories. And you'll see, and I'm not sure if you're looking at the chart, Dan, but you will see from this chart that in the month of December, there are no new members from 2017. And the reason for that is because the 2017 show was held in November, while the 2018 show was in December. And the IA runs on a calendar basis. Our membership runs on a calendar basis from January through December.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the chart. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so when we looked at manufacturers, our highest dues paying group, you'll see that during the promotion, we had manufacturers join 5 out of 7 of the months, which is great. If you see that a lot of them joined September through December, and that was mainly because of the show. And then when you see that there were some that joined in March, I'm speculating that that's because the promotions for this coming show were ramped up during that time. So I think that stimulated some new joins.
Okay.
And then, again, I'm showing the contractors, since they were the highest, they had the highest number of responses, and we also had the highest number of new joins in this group. And you'll see that it looks pretty good compared to the previous year in the same period. And for the discount summary, I'd say that we were successful in driving up our numbers. And this is something that the board will need to look at. It's up to them how long the promotion will last. And so they'll let us know when we need to discontinue it. So, but I'm hoping it'll last through the show of this year, at least. All right. That's what I have. Deborah, do you want to go through your survey?
Sure. So actually, we just got our survey results from the big membership survey that we sent out, and you may or may not have participated in that. Everybody that has an email in our system would have gotten the opportunity to participate. We typically get about a 20% response rate, which is excellent. And we do this survey every 3 years, and we do it in conjunction with our strategic planning session, which is happening in San Antonio next week, with our board, and also the chairs and vice chairs of all our committees get invited. So we have a bigger audience, and there'll be about 40 people there. To look at the survey, to say, hey, what are we doing well, what are we doing not so well, and reaffirm our mission, and look into those other areas. Our strategic initiatives currently, what our elevator speech is that the Irrigation Association's mission is to promote efficient irrigation, and we do that through two efforts. One is advocacy, and one is professional development. And when we talk about advocacy, we mean government affairs, standards and codes, and now public affairs. That was a more recent addition, to tell the world about irrigation, not just our own members. And then professional development is education and certification, and the most recent add-on to that was workforce development. The Irrigation Foundation has always been working to promote careers in irrigation, but the Irrigation Association didn't have it on its list of these are the things that are important. No, we supported the foundation financially and with staff, so we added that a couple of years ago, and today we see from our survey results that certainly workforce development is the biggest issue. We see that all of our members, and this happens in any economy, and I've seen it go up and down with this industry and some other industries in the past, where whenever the economy is doing very well, the market is tight, and it's hard to recruit and keep good people. And so it seems to be an area that we'll be talking a lot about with our group next week. But I thought that I would just go over some of the cursory findings from the survey that again, we sent out about 60 days ago and now have a full report. And we'll go ahead, I'll get Janie to send this report out to the 30 for 30 folks so that they can look at this too. And anything that we can provide to give you talking points or get an idea of what makes people want to join, what makes people want to stay members, I think is helpful for you all as you're making contacts. So one of the things, actually, when the respondents came back, it was 75% from the landscape turf market and only 25 back from the farmers market, from the ag market. And so that was a little low response for ag, because we feel like we're a little bit closer to 60-40 than 25-75. So that is one concern, that we don't feel like the ag representation completely matches our membership, but for the others, for the division of manufacturers through contractors, that all seems to be pretty, it aligns very well with our current membership, and so therefore that makes us feel better about our survey results. So the top 3 reasons why the majority of members that responded join the organization and then stay members are really 3, and they align with the same intel that Janie was going over in the reasons for joining on her mini survey that she sends out to the new members that come in. So it's professional development and education, and that is number 1 for why people choose to join. And then it turns out to be maybe number 2 for why people stay. But a lot of people, and especially this gets skewed by our irrigation contractors, our landscape irrigation contractors, because many of them join the organization for classes and certification. And ag do as well, but they're a smaller portion of it. We have a smaller ag education certification program. But professional development is number 1. Access to the most up-to-date information available is number 2, and opportunities to meet and network with other irrigation professionals. So for a manufacturer, it's meeting new customers. For a contractor, it might be meeting your peers so that you can solve problems. And those continue. Those are the top 3 issues for why people join and why people stay. They are just a little bit ranked a little bit differently, where education becomes number 2, why people stay, and getting the most up-to-date information available to the irrigation industry is the reason why people stay members. So, and we get rated pretty well on how we're supporting that. Another piece of information I thought was interesting is that of the people that returned the survey, over 62% have been members for over 11 years. Keep in mind that the survey, we don't just ask for one person from one company. We have multiple people. We've done some stratifying of the information to see how the owner of the company responds differently than the employee of the company, and just to see if there's any huge differences there. And right now we haven't really seen those. We've asked them also, what was the importance of their IA membership? Has it become more or less important over the last 3 years, since we do this survey every 3 years? And 60% of the respondents reported that their membership had become much more or more important. So that was a good number. We had not really asked that question that way before, so we weren't able to compare that to previous surveys. Of course, I would love it if 90% every year said it's becoming more and more important, but we realize that, that's a consistency piece, that they're not expecting it to become more and more important, just being important. So I think that was just something interesting to share. When we asked them what was the most to rate the IA's effectiveness in a number of key areas. So how effective are we being from in all those strategic initiatives that I mentioned earlier, advocacy and professional development and those things that support those. So certifying irrigation professionals ends up really being the number 1 in the area of where our members think we're most effective. And 80 to 90% put our effectiveness, or our effectiveness is 80-90%. Certifying irrigation professionals, offering continuing education, producing the irrigation show, and providing industry information. Those were the top 4, and then we get to promoting best practices. So I think, in sharing this with you, I think about when people say, well, why should I be a member? Well, sometimes I try not to be the salesperson and say, well, you do this and you do this. I say, well, the people that we hear from the most say that certification is most important to them, or education is most important to them, or in a case where they may already have that education, just staying on top of current industry information. Those are the reasons, and those are the reasons people join, and those are the association is graded very highly on being effective in those areas. So I think that's the kind of information. The area was, now we did ask that question previously, And what we feel that there was a notable improvement in three key areas is increasing the value of IA-certified professionals. So you may hear that as you're out talking, especially to landscape irrigation contractors, where they have this certification, they put a lot of time and effort into it, and the customers don't care. And we've been fighting that for a long time, but I think that we're doing a better job of trying to promote the certification beyond our membership to the owners. So the Building Owners and Managers Association is one that we try and advertise with and communicate with is one example. So it's Hire Certified is the campaign that we're doing for those areas. So we did have a notable improvement in increasing the value of the certified professionals. Influencing federal legislation was also increased, and then creating the demand for efficient irrigation products and services. So being out there, really this market transformation concept of trying to get people to use more efficient products, which I think is, even in the lighting industry, you've got the better products and that are going to be a better solution for your customers in many ways, whether it's energy savings or water savings. So those are just a couple of the ideas of the that came up over the effectiveness over time. Our membership attitudes actually were very positive. The company has it's consistently received good customer service from our staff. I just mentioned that again in talking points that, hey, they're a great group of people to work with. These are some talking points around that. We've been asking that same question since 2010, and we have gone up incrementally each year. So I think that's very positive. The leadership is making good decisions on behalf of the association's members. So again, you've got your staff behind the scenes, and then you have your volunteers like yourself who are working. And again, in these 4 surveys from 2010, we have gone up incrementally in our ratings in those 2 areas. And so on a scale of 1 to 4, we're at 3.4 for customer service and 3.2 for the association leadership making good decisions. So those are very positive. Membership value, we have a series of questions where we ask how important or how much do you agree with a statement. The thing that we like, and when I go out and talk with organizations to say, hey, my member companies are doing the right thing, the highest agreement with the statement was, it's important to my company that IA promotes efficient irrigation. So, and that's one thing that I have to say. In 2007, when we changed our mission to promoting efficient irrigation, really simple, really memorable. Most of our members actually know that's our mission. And I don't feel like we could have said that before when we had a really long paragraph of, what is it that we do. Everybody had an idea, but now people can say it. And also, on a scale of 1 to 4, graded 3.18 is membership in the Irrigation Association positively impacts our business. So these are some of the things that Janie will be using over the course of the next year and testimonials that we can find people to help support and faces behind these comments that belonging to the IA makes my industry feel like we're doing our part to support the industry. 3.31. So those are really kind of the top sentiments of the importance of the association. Let's see, then we get down to our strategic priorities, and one of the things that I thought was interesting over time is that representing the irrigation industry to the public has come up in the last 2 years as being the most important. So this is where public affairs got on our radar probably 6 years ago. And not that we weren't doing it, but we didn't have the staff and the resources dedicated to it. So we probably still don't have enough when you think about these campaigns that people spend millions and millions of dollars on, and we're a small association. We rely on things like Smart Irrigation Month, where we give the tools to our members, and we ask our members to reach out to customers. But that is, once again, rated as the highest priority over time for the association is representing industry to the public. The second is representing industry to government. And by the way, then a close third is creating and promoting standards and best practices. And that doesn't just mean physical standards and codes, which Brent Meekum works on every day of his life, but it's standards in certification and making sure that people know how to do things properly. So I think those are all very positive, and we're graded very, very high. We also, one of the biggest, 3.8 out of 4 are the concepts of IA should promote water conservation through efficient irrigation. So this idea of saving water, and I have to say that we always look at that statement with respect to landscape versus ag, because 10 years ago, the ag guys didn't ever want you to use the term conservation because it was negative, and it meant toying with their water rights or taking water away from them. And now even agriculture is embracing this idea that, you know, we all know that if we want water to be available for future generations, for irrigation for future generations, that we all have to be doing the right thing. So the last thing, and I don't know how we're doing on time. You're good? Okay. The strategic activities over time, what came up as our top 3 highest is not just promoting water conservation through efficient irrigation, but IA should educate end users, so consumers and growers, about water-saving practices and products. And that's something that we really have just started talking about, but have not really jumped off into, and we'll be talking about that, I know, next week. And what we kind of have labeled that is educating the non-irrigator, the people that maybe touch irrigation, but they don't have to have the insights that that the traditional landscape contractor or distributor or manufacturer have, but they touch it, so they can break it, they can not appreciate it, they can do things that negatively impact a system, even you know, with just some contact. So so that's something that's on our list. And then I should promote careers in irrigation. That has been high for the last 2 surveys, but it has increased another 3 points this year because just because of sort of the labor issues that we know we're all having. So we ask a lot of questions about, does the IA communicate enough with its members? They say they're receiving the right types of information. They say they're receiving the right types of, the right amount and the right types of information. The magazines provide content relative to my business. The website has what I'm looking for. All of those were graded 3 and higher. But I always like to ask those kind of questions when you're communicating with the members, or, you know, hey, do you feel like you're getting enough? Do you feel like you're getting the right thing? This sounds good, but again, you know, every survey that you do is a little bit skewed in a membership organization by your best members are going to respond and a couple of your angry members because they want to get to you somehow. So this small group of people, if 20% of the people think we're doing the right thing, but when we're out in the field and we're talking to people, we can get the remaining 80%. So at the end of the survey, there were some open-ended questions, and the open-ended questions were about what are our opportunities, and you'll see, because we'll send you out this survey package, which literally we just got yesterday. We've come up with word clouds when it was an easy way to assess all of this sort of verbatim information and open-ended questions. And when they look at opportunities, they think of water, and they think of growth, and they think of technology, and technology being so important. Then we ask the question about challenges, and the big words that pop out on a word cloud are finding and keeping employees, right? So we know, as we know these things going into our strategic planning session, we can say, hey, do we need to do something different? What more can we do to help this? What more can we do to whether it's something working with landscape contractors and writing letters to the government to get them more H-2B workers, or whether it's just drawing more people into the industry. We have programs where we teach teachers on bringing more irrigation to the classroom. Then we have programs where we're teaching, where we bring students to the show. But, is it enough? Do we have enough people applying to get into those college programs, and what else can we possibly do? And then we asked to, what are the, just other general comments. And it's funny because the general comments are never, I always mention them because they're not statistically significant because it's one person saying one thing. But, we do get, some folks, so even though we were graded really well on customer service, this is the opportunity for somebody to say, hey, you didn't call me back when I did this. And so we take all of those additional comments, and we as a staff go through every one of them. And if we can dig down and that person gave us their name, we can reach out to them directly and follow up. But for the most part, we get more than half of them are really positive comments. Keep up the good work, and we just we use this survey to say, hey, what can we do better? But we never want to just be happy where we are. We believe in continuous improvement, and we're always looking for just the key or the clue that, hey, maybe this is missing, or we've missed the boat on something. So I felt pretty positive actually about the member survey, and when I first read the results by themselves independently, I look at them a little differently when I look at them with this new report that we received that now compares all of our results from the previous years. I feel for the most part we've shown a nice increase in the services or the value that these folks are seeing from us, and which I think is positive. Doesn't mean there's not more places to improve, but that's what it is. So that's really all I had to say on the survey, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions. I thought we could talk a little bit about the show too, if we had a minute.
Sure.
Okay. As far as questions go, first off, I want to thank you guys for giving this. Impressed with all the data and the things that you guys collected. Is really super impressive for you guys to really drill down. I think a lot of organizations, asking those questions and getting people to be really honest with them on how they're doing. I think some companies like to do that, but they don't always like what they see or always ask the questions in a way. But it seems like you guys got really good feedback and good intel from that group. But let's see, I made a couple of notes here. It seems like you were able to really kind of capture how well you're doing, from the feedback that you got. And one of the big things, I hear this in our industry a lot too, on the Toro and on the Unique side is, reaching the end user. I mean, that's something that's a really common theme that we hear. And like, as you know, and as you brought up, it's really expensive to do a campaign to reach out and kind of connect with all these people, the people that are out, watching, TV and the Super Bowl and all that. I mean, it's so cost prohibitive to really reach out to those people. But I think I like your point about getting your members, or coming up with some kind of campaign to get your members and the people that you work with to really reach out. I think that's probably the only way that we're going to be able to do it. Yeah. and be successful, something. I mean, it is so. One of the things, I had a question before you guys moved on. You said that you guys had went through a list and called, and I think you said you got seven companies or 7 organizations to recertify and re-enroll in the.
11 companies joined.
11. Those were ones that had lapsed and had come back.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And those were ones that you guys calls that you guys made internally with your staff, correct?
Correct.
And was there any kind of was there a common theme? I know you guys measured a ton of things. Your survey was awesome, but did you guys, after you got those 11 re-enrolled, did you guys circle back with each other and find out what the was there a common theme or a common message that was given, to those people, or was it kind of the script of what was the common denominator, or was there one in successfully getting those 11 people back in?
That's a good question. I didn't always get the feedback. I think that sometimes people, some organizations had forgotten it. It fell through the cracks with them.
Okay.
And they hadn't realized that they hadn't renewed.
Got it.
Or
Okay.
they were thinking that they wanted to go, oh yeah, I wanted to go get certified, or definitely I'm meaning to do this. I've just been so busy. Those kinds of things stand out.
Got it. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I guess I should just say that when you see the survey results, of course, I highlighted all the positive things because I'm looking to share talking points that you can have with the folks that you're talking to. Now, when you look at it, there are some things that we've gone downhill on, which is state affairs, not doing a great job with state affairs. But we're actually working on that. We're actually talking to the National Association of Landscape Professionals and trying to decide whether we should partner with them, because we think they do a very good job there, and maybe they can help us out. But again, it's all relative. So state affairs may be marked the lowest of the things that we asked them about, but it's still it's still a high, 2.6 or something out of 4. So it's better than half, but it's not where I think it should be. I'd like everything to be in the 80s and 90s. But you'll see that, so you can see warts and all. And I think that as an association, culturally, we've always been very open to share information, and we collect it, we want to share it, and our life is an open book because you members are the folks that keep us going. Okay. Well, you had some other things to talk about, and then I'll fill in with the show if we have time.
Oh, okay. Actually, I wanted to get your feedback. I know that you said earlier that because of the time difference, you don't always get to make the webinar sessions. And I was just trying to think of other ideas to keep our group going and keep us in communication with each other. And so it seems that you like the webinars format, but what would you think about individual calls on a quarterly basis with me to be able to answer your questions and kind of just share what you're learning and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, if I would probably do better if I just had, if that was kind of on my
schedule.
Schedule to just to say, hey, I need to reach out and have a conversation with you on a quarterly basis, just to, maybe there's some questions that I have, or to update you on any progress or.
But, you also mentioned when you were saying, hey, you've made some calls, but it's, hard getting it in your schedule. Do you think, this is our first year that we're trying this, and do you think that because we do leave it to everybody's time to call them, right? And do you think that it would be better if we said, hey, we're going to do kind of like quarterly campaigns and we limit it to 1 week instead of letting you guys do it whenever, because it's never going to get done?
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be great. Yeah, if I had a deadline, if I had a week period of time to get this done, I would find a way to squeeze it in. But like I do kick the can down the road, and I've got this whole quarter. I've got the next 3 months to call these people, and I think that would be great. I think if you did put some time. I mean, you're going to probably have people that feel the opposite way that I do about it.
Yeah.
But if I set aside 2 hours to make phone calls and I put it on my calendar, I'm probably going to do it. So.
Right.
Well, on top of that, do you think it would be easier also to have one, like for instance, have like that 1 week you're only calling prospects, and then the next time we do the campaign, only do lapsed members, opposed to having all the rosters up front and just having it open-ended?
Yeah, I think that would be great, just because you're kind of, when you're talking to prospective members, you're kind of in that mindset. Yeah, and
right.
to switch back and forth would be, for me as a salesperson, I'd have to remind myself of who I'm talking to when I dial the phone. Yeah. But yeah, if I was just, I think that's a great idea.
Okay. And I also wanted to point out that you don't have to wait to talk to me on a quarterly basis. You can call me anytime if you have a question or need information. Do you have any other questions or comments for us? Any other ideas?
No, not really.
Okay,
So-
Dan, so I just wanted to let you know that currently the next webinar is scheduled for August 13th.
Okay.
We'll let you know if we decide to just go ahead and record it internally and then just send it to everyone to watch.
Well, thank you for
Okay.
joining us.
Okay, thank you, ladies. All right.
Have a good day.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.